Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'd like to call the meeting to order.
We have 4 directors present today. Larry is on Zoom. Larry, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay.
Thank Barbara for all of your work and especially as treasurer. We really appreciate all your contributions to our community. So thank you for that.
I'd also like to thank Barbara for all the work she did for our community. She'll be missed.
And I also would like to thank her, and also she wrote a really nice article on some social media platform that I thought was really a nice eye opener to a lot of the residents about the CC&Rs. So, but I'd like to thank her for everything she's done here. So thank you, Barbara.
All right, board, the next action item you have are approval of the minutes for April 2026. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Larry, were you able to hear that?
I was. I'm sorry. Aye.
Okay, thank you. The board has asked that we move item F to the top of the agenda, which is on page 25 of your board packet. Would someone like to make the motion to appoint Larry Meyer as treasurer of the board of directors?
I'll make a motion for Larry to be appointed treasurer.
Is there a second?
Then second.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion?
Oh, yeah, I'd like to say a couple comments. I think the treasurer's role is a very important one within our community. But I also think that we have the support of a very strong financial advisory committee, which helps us stay on the straight and narrow with respect to our finances. So the combination of the two of those and their important roles and responsibilities ensures that we keep our finances in good order.
Any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. I'll vote for myself.
Okay, 4-0. And then, I was remiss, I skipped your president's report, so we'll revert back to that now.
Firstly, I'd just like to let the community know that the board does not intend to appoint anybody to replace Barbara. We're very close to an election, so we'll just wait for the community members to elect a new person for the board. I understand there's been a lot of concern about the delinquent homeowner dues. We did hold hearings this month, and before those hearings, 3 of the delinquent homeowners paid all their dues to date. We've reduced the debt from 105,000 last month down to 80, but we expect this to fall further during the next few weeks. The delinquent homeowners have been notified that their privileges will be terminated as of June 13th. So we are working as hard as we can to try and get those delinquencies down. We also have been paying attention. There's been a lot of concern about the perimeter wall and security of that wall. I'm going to let James address that. He's the liaison to the security committee.
Yeah, so I'm the liaison for the Safety Advisory Committee. And we hear that there's some security concerns around the community. So we want to make sure that we look into those, get informed decisions on recommendations on how we can address these issues, depending on the severity, the frequency, and do a cost analysis. So we're going to look into all those. So to that end, we've tasked the Safety Advisory Committee to look into these recommendations and report back to the board. So I want to introduce Harvey Cooper, sitting over here. And so he's going to spearhead the effort. And we had a Safety Advisory Committee meeting last night and talked about different ideas on how to approach and solve this problem. One of the issues that Harvey may look into is potentially putting out a survey to the community and getting your feedback, your input as to what you think the problems are, what you think the solutions are, and then the advisory committee will incorporate that into their study and their recommendation. We're hoping that they'll get something back to us in the October timeframe, realizing that it might be a phased approach where we look at high-risk area first and then year after year improve and tighten our security around the community. So that's kind of where we're going right now. And so again, Harvey's going to be our point of contact, and you'll hear more from him and more from us in the coming weeks.
Thank you. A brief overview of our financial position. Our operating bank accounts, $1,068,882. Our reserve fund is at $6,323,412, fully funded. Total assets, $7,256,157, an increase of $278,000 over March. Owner receivables, $95,736. Thank you.
And as Ann mentioned, the association is taking a very aggressive stance on aging accounts. And we've been very successful. We're following the process. We are going all the way up to recording liens and foreclosure options. So the association takes the assessment payment of you and your peers very seriously. And we encourage everyone to prioritize the association as the majority of the community does. So we'll continue with that effort. And as Ann mentioned, we gave notice to several homeowners that they had 30 days to correct their account, or else their privileges will be suspended. With the new bulk and cable and internet setup, the association does have the ability to go in there and shut accounts off for delinquencies. And when they're corrected, we can immediately turn them back on. So we believe that's going to be a huge carrot towards getting the few accounts that are significantly delinquent into line. As many of you know, the association is in alternative dispute resolution with Seabreeze over the termination of our contract with them. We've had some favorable movement there, significant movement. It's not quite the solution the association's looking for yet, but we are making good progress. And with a swing in the positive for us of almost $70,000. So the associations, the board and staff and the attorney are still working together to find a resolution to this. But we just wanted to give you an update that it's a process. Right now, the next arbitration date is set for November 7th. Unless there's movement between now and then, which we believe there will be, to try and find a resolution to that case. So, Did want to give an update to the community. I know that the State of the Association, I hope many of you read that. The association heard from residents with some concerns or questions about some of the furniture. So we met with the designers and we made some additional changes. We reduced the number of high top tables, increased the low seating. Right now, there's 20-some low seats. It's going to go up to 58 with the new program. We heard concerns about the tables maybe being too heavy or not manageable enough for the multi-purpose room across here. So the board is going to be replacing the chairs and will continue using the tables that are there. And down the road, if a different solution is requested or needed by the users of that room, we'll address that. But we heard the concerns there and we made a change. The association has also implemented a couch into the design so that there'll be a low sitting area adjacent to the wine room. So wanted to let you know that the board, through emails and in town hall meetings, had heard from residents, tried to find some solutions that would help satisfy some of those requests. So that's moving forward. As the board mentioned in Harvey, we had a safety advisory committee last night, and the association takes the intrusion in the community very serious. They are looking at all kinds of alternatives. I did want to highlight one that they're already looking at, which is a radar detector for after hours at the gates so that they would be able to pick up any movement in those areas. So we'll be talking to some of our consultants about that. It's about a $6,000 per gate installation. But with the new lighting and possibly implementing this, it could be a solution to alerting patrol ahead of time before somebody actually gets in the community. So with the survey that'll come out, we really encourage you to participate. Let us know, respond to those surveys because that gives us the data points where the committee and staff can work from. So you'll be seeing several surveys over the summer on different items, and just going to encourage you to participate in those because your input really matters on how we move forward. And those are just the overview items for right now, Ann. We can move into the agenda. The next item for the board to consider is on page 6 of your report. This is the holiday, outdoor holiday decorations and lighting. So this isn't for anything in the building here. This would be for lighting the gates, the monument, wrapping the trees, wrapping the lights on the building, wrapping the trees in the common area here. And I know there were some questions with regards to what this was for. So it's our annual outdoor decoration and lighting proposal. And would someone like to make a motion to authorize the expenditure of funds in an amount not to exceed $11,385 to be funded from the operating account for the holiday lighting and decor?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion for the holiday lighting, in amount not to exceed $11,385.
I'll second it.
Is there
Do we
any?
have any discussion?
Yeah, I have a couple of comments on it. One, there was a suggestion maybe a month or so ago to keep some of the palm tree lighting wraps on for a longer period of time, maybe throughout the year, just because it just added to the ambiance of the community. So if we could look into what the costs were on that. And the other comment or question I have is it's not an insignificant amount of money, but it's only for like 30 or so days. Is there a possibility of increasing the amount of time that we have the lights on display, like for another couple of weeks?
It ties into our documents that we require the homeowners to follow for the time period for holiday decorations.
Okay, so we're going to stick with our rules. for the community as well as for homeowners
Yep,
until we change those.
correct.
Thank you.
Is there any comment from the homeowners?
So what the board would like to do, or the board's going to try implementing, is when they have agenda items and they're going to give an opportunity to the residents to, if they have a comment or a question on it before they proceed forward. So that's what Ann is asking right now, is if anyone has a comment or a question regarding this, we'd ask that, just like with the homeowner forum, you come up to the podium, you address your question to the board, and we'll just continue forward then. So I saw one over here.
Karen Feinstein. I agree that I think the lights unwrapping the trees, or some of them, the neutral white lights left up almost all year round or whatever, is it's not just a decoration for a holiday. It adds to the whole approach of our entrance and makes it look grand, and give us additional lighting. So I don't think that the cost of the electricity is that big a deal. I don't know. But the cost to take it down, up and down, there's a cost for that. So that might be a trade-off. I think the ambiance would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, back to the board.
So could we ask management to look into what the cost would be to extend the wrap for some of the palm trees year round and get a quote back from the vendor?
You could ask that.
I'm asking that.
Okay,
But that would be separate from this proposal, as I understand it, correct?
yes, it would be. Is there any further discussion?
No,
All in favor?
aye.
Hi,
Okay.
Larry still on with us?
Larry might have dropped off.
Okay.
So I'll show that at 10:32. Let's go. And that's a 3-0. The next item for the board to consider is on page 17 of your board packet. The item to be considered is moved that the Board of Directors approves a proposal from Sunshade Window Tinting in an amount not to exceed $3,270 for the purchase and installation of window tint for the upper windows in the Outlook Lounge and the yoga room windows. Would someone like to make that motion?
I would like to make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I'd like to say that I've been watching where the sun comes through those windows for quite a long time now, maybe a year or more. And I think that tinting those upper windows will help a lot. I don't think it'll cure everything, but it's as really as much as I think we can do. And I do think it'll make a big difference.
I agree. Is there any comment from the floor?
Yep, please come up. Gonna be a race?
Is there any way to do the windows of the sliding doors?
The answer is yes. The association's looking at doing blinds like on the other windows for that section. So we're getting a quote on the electrical installation that would be required to operate those blinds. Flavio has already got several quotes for blinds for the lower windows,
They would come down like the ones do on the other side?
exactly like the other ones, correct?
Okay, you want to say something?
Yeah, just for your information, if it wasn't for Jeff and I, who are very strong, moving those tables every Monday when we play poker is a bitch. Let me tell you. It really, truly, the sun is shining. It's 6:30 in the afternoon. So we wind up moving the tables and back again when it's over. So I think the tinting would be a great idea.
Thank you.
Will you vote on this?
Oh, sorry.
Come back to the board.
Any further comment?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. The next item for the board to consider is on page 20 of your board packet. And this is move that the board of directors sets blank date to the annual meeting or as the annual meeting date for the board election. So board, what you're going to need to do is you're going to have a discussion and then make a motion to set the annual meeting date for 2026.
Okay. There are options for this. Depending on whether or not we want to be able to use acclamation in the election. There's not really very much difference in the cost of the election if we don't have acclamation. And so I would propose that we have the election in October on the 30th.
What is this acclamation thing?
So
Means that
let's do this. Let's move that the board of directors sets October 30th, 2026 as the annual meeting date for the board election. If we can get a motion for that in a second, then we can have some discussion.
I'll make a motion to have the election on October 30th, 2026.
I'll second it.
Okay, so Bob, to answer your question, the acclamation process would be it would change the date of the meeting. It would ultimately allow the association not to have a vote if you have 3 seats available and only 3 people ran for the meeting or ran for the positions. You would be able to appoint the directors by acclamation. 3 seats, 3 candidates, they would automatically get appointed. If you ended up with 4 and you went through the acclamation process, then you would have to have the vote, and that would push your annual meeting date sometime after December 7th. If you go the straight vote, non-acclamation process, the process would start on June 29th. They would call for candidates. After August 2nd, you would close the call for candidates. August 10th, they would mail the ballots. And anytime after October 12th, you could have the annual meeting, therefore on the 30th. So it really comes down to, do you want to try and hold a meeting? You have 3 seats. If you think you're going to have 3 people or less, you could do it by acclamation. If you think you're going to have more than 3 people run for it, it's going to be a straight vote. And the savings, it's a difference of right around $3,000. But if you have more than 3 people run, then it goes back up to the full price and you're in December for your meeting.
So if we do a vote in December, does that leave a longer window for people to run their candidacy while more people are in town?
Well, so the way that would work is you would have the nomination period you would call for candidate letters on June 29th, and that would close on September 27th. So
It's not much difference.
as opposed to nominations would close June 29th. They go, ballots would be mailed September 9th for the other way. So about 18 days.
More discussion?
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, although I agree with the acclamation in general, I don't think going that way saves us much. So I think we should just
Stick with the 30th.
keep it October 30th and deal with what comes. But I don't think moving it is going to make that much of a difference.
Listen. Any comments?
So there is a comment that came in that said, can you do Samantha just gave it to me. Can you do 10:29 as opposed to 10:30, so it doesn't interfere with the Halloween party? The 29th is a Thursday. So I mean, you could make that work.
We could make that work.
So maybe you want to amend the motion to be,
Change the motion to have the election on October 29th in order to avoid Halloween.
are you okay with that, Bob?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay.
We have comments from anybody here?
No, sir, the people can't hear you online.
I appreciate all the work you guys are doing, but a lot of the stuff seems to me pretty obvious. Seems to me that we can do the dates that you need to do to make things happen. But then if you only get the number of people applying that you need, why don't we just do acclamation by default? And forget everything else. If you have more, obviously you go through the normal vote.
Thank you.
Did you have an answer to that?
It's Sal's opinion. I don't know what to, I mean, the options are, do you want to maintain October, as the month for your annual meeting? And it's really what it comes down
I'd like
to.
to, yeah, I think we'll stay with October. Any further comment?
Yeah, I agree. We should stick with October. That's what people are expecting.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so I show 10:29. All right, the next item for the board to consider is on page 21 of your board packet. Looking for a motion, move that the Board of Directors appoints Bill Morgner to fill the vacancy on the DRC committee. The DRC committee met with several residents and ultimately recommended appointing Bill to the committee. Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion that we appoint Bill Morgner to fill the DRC vacancy. Have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I'll say, I think Bill will be a big addition to the committee, since he's been involved in the sale of a lot of the homes here. And he has some information that the rest of us don't. So I'm looking forward to having him on the committee.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 So 3-0. Board, the next item for you to consider is on page 22 of your board packet. We'd be looking for a motion, move that the Board of Directors approves the proposal from Southwest Landscape for the installation and upgrade of the community irrigation control system to a Rainbird IQ central control platform, including the communications hardware, antennas, radios, and related equipment in an amount not to exceed $45,089.04. This would be funded through the annual contract, as we have a $50,000 a year special project credit in there. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, and then just some information for the community. This is something that the association's been looking at for quite a few years. What this system will allow us to do is, if there's a break underground or a sprinkler head breaks or a pipe breaks somewhere and we're not aware of it, an unauthorized flow would be able to be shut off automatically by the system, reducing damage to the common area, reducing lost water, things of that nature. It also has a smart system with it that can adjust for rain automatically and help shut the system down if it's raining, instead of watering during the rain, in events that the landscapers aren't on site to shut it down manually. It also allows for instant programming and changing of areas on the fly, that if we see areas that are dry or having some challenges, they can be automatically updated without a lot of manual work. So what we would most likely do is, once this is implemented, if the board agrees with it, then we can start doing some tracking on our monthly utility sheets to see if there is a positive change with regards to water consumption throughout the year in the various areas that this would affect. Also, it gives us just better control. Like I said, if there's damage, we had a hillside washout, if you recall, about a year ago, because a 2-inch pipe broke during the middle of the night and it wasn't discovered until the morning. That cost a significant amount of money to repair and replace that hillside. And this technology will help prevent that in the future. So I don't know if there's some questions from the audience that we could answer. Come on up.
Ron Stillman, Moscato. EPAC has been working steadily to make sure that we could manage some type of a breakage of the irrigation piping in an earthquake type situation. So it's something that we've been aware of as a potential for quite some time. So my question is whether this electronic system is going to have some type of power backup, because without it, it's not really going to be functional if power goes out in an earthquake. So I think it would be a recommendation that if possible, it have some type of power backup, just, short term for an emergency purpose. Thank you.
That's a great salute or a recommendation, Ron. I'll check. I want to say that there is a battery backup, just like with our at the main gate, where there's like a 2-hour battery backup, but we'll double check. We'll find out if that's an option.
Just the nice thing about this is the sensors have water flow metering capability. So if they sense that there's a much greater flow of water than there should be, they automatically shut down. But your question is a good one, is what happens if we don't have any power? So we'll look into that.
Yeah, it's a great question. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next item to consider is on page 26 of your board report. For some time, the community has requested steps that now the street name's going to escape me. It's sharp. Is it?
Street?
It parallels the bocce courts. Jeff will know. Is it, what's the street right by the bocce courts? Is it Burgundy, right? Burgundy. So between Burgundy and the parking lot, where everybody takes a shortcut up the hillside and slides through the DG there, we're looking at proposing some steps there. So we'd be looking for a motion from the board. Move that the board of directors approves a proposal from Castro's Concrete for the installation of concrete steps on the north side of the parking lot between the sidewalk and the street in an amount not to exceed $5,100 with funding through the operating budget.
Yeah, I make that request.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
James. And so
Second.
where these steps would be located, taking the adjacent owners into consideration, is it's literally between two garages so that the homes aren't staring out at the steps.
Yeah.
Not that they're going to be obtrusive, but that was taken into consideration in the location. Any comments or questions from the residents? The question is, would there be a railing? There will be a railing, yes.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank management for following through with this. I think it's something that is a small improvement, but it's going to have a great impact on a lot of people that that come to bocce ball and come to pickleball, walking up through that pathway. They don't have to worry about walking through the DG and getting sand in their shoes. And I think it's going to be a great improvement. So I'm definitely in favor of it.
Further discussion?
Mm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Board, the final item for your consideration is on page 29 of your packet. And be looking for a motion from the board to approve a proposal from Southwest Landscape for improvements to the undeveloped common area in front of the well site along Prosecco in an amount not to exceed $7,224.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Have any discussion?
Yeah, I think this is a good thing to do. It's been kind of a long time coming, but I know I've had residents comment about it, and there's also a little bit of a sand blowing issue there too. So I think this is a good addition.
Yeah, it's the only spot that's not landscaped.
Yeah.
So for people that don't know, this is an area kind of on Prosecco near Semillon where there's a wall and there's no landscaping at all. And for most people, you don't really see it because it's not a high traffic area. But for people who walk their dogs or drive through that area, it's really a pretty bad eyesore. So this improvement will just help improve that aesthetics in the area instead of, they call it the, what do they call it? The prison wall. It's just a bare wall and it's
It's in front of the well.
it's ugly. There's no other way to put it. So this will make a big improvement to the community, I think. Sure.
Any comments from the community? No. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
And those are the action items that we had today. Are there, you have committees, and if there's anyone from the committees that would like to speak today, I'm not sure that anyone reserved or not, but if they're here. No. Okay.
Adjourned. Okay, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.